Hey everybody, welcome to What the Flicks presentation of the Newsroom, Season 2, Episode 6, One Step Too Many. I always start negative. I liked this episode. And this was maybe the first Newsroom episode where at the end, I didn't want it to end. Like I thought, ooh, that's intriguing, like a great last line. I now want to know, because they're so close, and I got it. They've almost overdone how well they've fact-checked this story. like, how is it not true? Like, I get why Jerry Dantana, obviously he now has committed a horrible cardinal violation. But still, up until this point, I think they were ready to go with this story. And I really want to see how they learned that it went wrong and what actually happened on that mission.
Well, in terms of their excessive amount of fact-checking and still how they could have gotten it wrong, they keep finding sources which bring them 90% of the way to thinking it's true and then mentally filling in the gap. Like what the general said, and obviously you had to modify his what he actually said to make it seem like it. The tweets are not confirmation. The manifest is not confirmation. The guy from the Navy intelligence office that they talked to, that Charlie talked to, did not confirm it. Nobody is actually confirming it. But that's what's so bizarre. If you were in that position to confirm or deny it, why would you not deny it if it wasn't true?
Don't they have one person who was on the mission who confirmed it?
They do now. Now that Valenzuela's not dead, assumingly.
Right.
He's got. But yeah, I think the whole thing kind of boils down to they keep thinking, well, if A, then B. But all they have are a lot of A's, and they don't have a single B.
Well, who's the first sergeant or whatever that they talked to? He seemed to have said, yeah, we did it. We did the Sarin.
Right.
Yes,
but that guy wasn't on the mission, though, I don't think.
I guess he
wasn't on the mission.
For all we know, the person that isn't dead now, maybe he's the one that next week says, no, that didn't happen, we didn't use sarin. Maybe that's how they find out.
All right, look, I have 7 things to say about this. First of all, again, Newsroom is like the newsroom we wish we had in real life, because in a real newsroom, 6 sources, are you kidding me? They would have gone with 1.5. Right?
But they're right, if in the sense, because what I may have missed, and what you may have missed then too, is that they have to have someone who was there say they did it for a story that big, rather than people who saying, I heard they did it. Or someone who was there or someone who ordered it.
Yeah. Or someone who says, it seemed like sarin hit my village or something like that.
The sergeant said they did it, a real newsroom would have ran it.
Even for something this big a deal.
Like that, and that was like the second source.
No, I think actually, you're right, except maybe not for this story. I'm confused. It's very confusing as to what they have because they talk so fucking fast, right? So, it really try. I keep rewind.
Really helps on this show.
Yeah, I'm going to start using it. I do it for Breaking Bad because Breaking Bad is taken to have every line delivered. I can't believe you do this. And in Breaking Bad, they're so intense they can barely raise their voices.
Easy to follow.
But easy to follow. I'm in my 20s.
Except he's not.
What's true is that because they know the repercussions of this, and what the most powerful argument made along those lines was the one made by the skeptic Jim, who I'm starting to actually, a character I think I'd like.
Wow.
Yeah, which is a stunning development. But when Jim's like, yeah, and in World War I and World War II and Korea and Vietnam and the first Gulf War, where we could have done it all these, what
but
now?
The response to that from Jerry Dantano wasn't bad either. Those were all before 9/11.
Okay,
Look at all the things we do now.
Sure, I got it, except then, yes, and it was a good response, but also you would say, yeah, it's 2013, and this is the first time we've done it in the 12 years since then. What was so special about getting these 2 guys out?
That's a good point.
I just thought it was like that is quality skepticism from Jim.
So now, in terms of this story, for the first time, as Ben is alluding to, Vims has showed up in Newsroom.
Right, yeah.
Okay, we've got a mystery. We've got
elucidate for people who did not watch
the
previous freak.
Vims is violence, intrigue, mystery, sex. Those are the 4 things you need in order for a movie or a TV show to be compelling, right?
Usually, Newsroom has
none of it.
None of them.
Right, exactly.
Intrigue.
Okay, so now, and you don't need all 4, like Game of Thrones is a home run because it has all 4 in spades, right? but like you need at least a couple of those things, etc. And the mystery of whether Jim and Maggie are going to hook up is the least interesting mystery in American history, American television history, literally.
Yeah.
Okay.
I fully support Maggie hooking up with the sexy bartender, though.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That was, thumbs up for that.
Sexy bartender.
No, the guy getting her a drink was sexy.
She turned down the attractive guy and she went home with the big
Excuse me,
bartender.
I think I'm the one qualified here to judge who was the hot guy in the scene. She picked the right guy. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, anyway. So there is genuine mystery, and I want to know what happened. My main theory on it is that they got set up. Like you can't have all 6 of these things without some sort of setup, because like coincidentally they got all of this, and the NSA guy comes and gives them the thing that helps.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Why did he give them that?
Unless because
I think
I hope that one of the keys is MD76X or MX76, because one of the weaknesses of the show, of many Aaron Sorkin show, is that everyone is so uber brilliant that they even know what that is. Like, smart people, really genius people, don't have any idea what that is.
They looked into it. They
looked into it by calling
quartermasters.
3 quartermasters.
Yeah.
And that's part of it. He doesn't know any quartermasters. It's inconceivable, let alone 3.
Directly relevant to that, I love that they threw in the line, like, everybody's criticizing Maggie for not being relevant. And they were mentioning that M-Pops or whatever, the suit that they wear, and she like throws out the definition for no reason. There was no reason for her to say that.
Here's how they're going to know that Dantana screwed up, played with the editing. The basketball game.
Of course.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
He would have seen that.
Everybody, they're TV producers.
Yeah.
I saw it. Somebody on Twitter sent us a thing. They saw it. Like,
And it sounded edited.
right. It
Like,
wasn't even.
and he's talking like it's too quick.
Right.
Yeah, the crowd's like, ha!
Right. But again, the game, they're in the back court, then they're in the front court. It's too.
Yeah, don't use your lingo.
Right.
Okay?
And they wouldn't have.
Suddenly there's a True Value hardware commercial on.
And as soon as Jerry Dantana said, no, I want to get the medals in the background for Gravitas, I'm like, you can't have the TV on during the interview. Like, that's a no, that's a, like.
I didn't realize it at
No,
that
no,
point,
so
but-
it's okay. That's a little inside baseball to know you can't have a TV on. You never would have a TV on. But where it fails is, I'll grant the inside baseball, that didn't bother me, but it was such a telegraph that was going to matter.
And as John just pointed out before we got started today, wouldn't the medals in the background tip off who it was?
That's what I was
I
thinking.
mean, not all generals have the same array of stuff, right?
Well,
Like,
and his face is pretty visible. Like they're not hiding him that well.
Voice, so that might make it.
Yeah.
But also, use a. You can move his medals without violating some sacrosanct idea that no, we're just covering the story. We don't make the story. Move the medals to another shelf if that's a big deal.
Yeah, put him in front of that. Good,
Right.
That's true.
Right, now
Okay, the meeting.
So the meeting, and it relates to Genoa because the show ended so powerfully with Charlie saying, and at 10:05, I knew we were in trouble because the story was wrong. And I'm like, oh, what happened? What happened? But it begins with that meeting, and it just was so incredibly false.
The red
it's like,
team.
right, it's like Aaron Sorkin he tries to write these conversations with people, but I don't think he's ever had a conversation with a regular person because he thinks he knows how people talk, but he doesn't. Like, and this idea that you're at this story where the reaction of Jim and Don and Sloan is so incredibly appropriate. Like, wow, we're going to run a story that says the U.S. military used sarin gas on civilians, right? And then they go off on that reindeer thing. Because see, what people do, what people do is they go off on tangents, to deflect the tension. And you're like, not then they don't, and not about reindeer. And she's like, oh, let's start over, let's do it again. I mean, just again, it takes this dramatic moment and just yanks you out of that room.
Really fast, to that direct joke, the reindeer joke, what I liked about it is it seems like they would not all have done that, and Jim did not do it. Sloan would do that, because she does weird, random jokes like that.
True.
I don't think Don was seriously like, yes, let's talk about the reindeer. I think he just wants to be involved in her life, and so he agreed with her. Let's talk about reindeer.
I think what we've learned from this conversation is that John loves the newsroom because you cannot defend that scene. It's an indefensible scene.
Before the show, I was like, because John, John is so freaking smart and has such interesting things to say and was so good at Game of Thrones. And so I was like, John, what other shows have you seen? And he hasn't really seen The Sopranos or The Wire
I've seen some
or
of The Sopranos.
Deadwood, but like you see those shows and you're going to come back in 3 years when you've finished watching stuff, you're going to be like, all right, I got you. I got you.
Watch The West Wing.
That's my prediction. Yeah.
Speaking of Twitter, one of the people that reads this made the observation that I'd never really thought about this before. That if in a lot of ways that Will is sort of the Keith Olbermann Mankiewicz, then is Sloane his Rachel Maddow, and is that the relationship that Maddow and Olbermann had, the unfortunately overstated big bro little sis relationship? But did they have that kind of interplay when they were both at MSNBC?
So at the end of Newsroom, will they hate each other?
Ooh. Is Sloane really a lesbian? Who knows?
Okay.
That'd be awesome. Season 3.
Wait a minute. Now we're having a conversation. No. I don't know, but I do know that, secretly I do know, but I can't say, is that I love that scene with Sloane and the big little sis, big brother.
The John Carter one or the one at the end?
The one at the end.
Okay.
And but I like them both. Again, she's like by far the best character. Their interaction is great. Her saying "I love you" is like no, it's a little over the top, but I more than excuse it. In fact, I almost secretly like it. And it was nice that there was a male-female relationship with both characters that are attractive. That is not about sex, right?
They were credible in that conversation. They do care about each other. It was good. I liked her take on his focus grouping. I just thought the whole thing was good. As we talked about briefly before the show, the brother-sister thing, like that's the only part of it that didn't quite work because they failed to establish that. So it was a little awkward. It was a little awkward to just say it. Like it was.
I don't know. I'm going to pull Iadarola on this one. I thought it worked perfectly well.
I like the scene itself, but just when they actually bring up the brother-sister thing and say it in a way that I don't think people who actually had that conversation would feel the need to say it in a relationship.
Later in the second edit, if he does a second edit, after he put in the "I love you" line, and he liked it so much, but he wanted to make it clear that it was a brother-sister thing and not a sexual thing.
Yeah, maybe.
And I think that's why they did it. Yeah. But that was nice.
I agree with you. I like both those conversations a lot.
And even though it was, of course, a little unrealistic, can you imagine? Let's even go with your example. Rachel Maddow sitting at Keith Olbermann's desk, looking through his private data on how he scored on a test that he commissioned that he hasn't shown anyone else. If you'd like to get murdered, that might be the way to go if it's based on Keith Olbermann. I mean, are you kidding me, right?
But if we do believe that that's their relationship, then she's one of the people who he could find in his office and is like...
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm really loving the yin and yang of Mac and Nina. Like, in terms of the sort of journalist integrity side of Will and the television personality, responds to ratings and focus groups and Q ratings, whatever stuff that people who are on camera for a living have to deal with. I like those kind of two tugs at him.
Well, that might be over, though.
Yeah.
Well, we might not have any more of that.
Did he seriously break up with her?
I think like it.
I think so. Yeah.
She was already.
I liked those scenes with her, and that was another scenes. I liked those domestic scenes.
How did he describe her to the Occupy woman? That he sort of had a girlfriend or almost or something.
Which they didn't go back to.
No.
My prediction did not turn out. Oh, well.
So and. I want to get back to another prediction about sex in a second, but the football helmet thing, right? I would have said no to the football helmet, and I don't have a shred of the integrity that Will McAvoy has, right? Because it looks too goofy. It looks like the Dukakis thing. That was a good line, right?
Let me just interject because I agree with you totally, and I thought he won't do it, but the overwhelming aggressiveness of the female host could conceivably have got you in that situation. You're like on their show,
it would be too awkward
not to. Like, no, you got to put it on. And then you're like, all right, I'll put it on. And you think I'll do it. I'll throw one, and then I'll take it off. But and then
when he threw that, did anyone think he wasn't aiming at the light tree?
No, of course not.
I thought it looked instantly like he did it on purpose. So that joke seemed unnecessary.
Again, that's a fairly over the top moment, but I loved that moment.
No, well,
yeah.
what I was leading up to is I think that there's a way that you could have not put on the helmet, and Will probably wouldn't have put, but I don't care.
Right.
That was good. I like that. I like that they, because it is a real tension in the show that McAvoy wants the audience. He wants the audience to love him. That's why you like the scene with her saying, but you do care about the audience loving you, and et cetera.
The premiere of the show was the whole, like, are you going to be Leno thing?
Right.
You know, are you just going to be breezy and palatable to a mass audience and not actually do your job and make some enemies?
Yeah, which was then clarified in that final conversation that we all liked with Sloan.
Yeah, that was a
like
nice-
if
The respect and trust numbers.
yeah. Oh, so you're going to lose some of your imaginary friends. It's
Yeah.
okay, right? But that goes to the heart of why the good side of this show, which is letting the audience know something they probably don't know, which is that if you do a serious show or an aggressive show or whatever, you are going to lose audience. That is not a way to get a large audience, right?
Well, they don't really give a lot of evidence that they have lost that much of their audience.
I know they do from
Like
time to
Reese
time.
doesn't really bring it up anymore. It seems like they weathered that storm pretty well.
Kind of weathered it, but they have. But they're. I mean, it's a constant strain.
That's why they're always in the crosshairs.
And we see the focus groups show it. Like, I mean, you know, when Nina says, you know, the great line of 75s can become 85s quickly, but they can become 55s a lot quicker. And says, you know, every night you're out there when you're in a conflict every night, when you're confronting people every night, people aren't gonna like it.
And circling back to Olbermann again, which may or may not be a fair comparison, one thing I noticed as a regular viewer of his show was that they never gave him guests that he disagreed with. He never did the cross-examination thing. He always got people who yes-anded him. And I thought, well, because he's so clearly, you know, he's abrasive with people who agree with him. So I just figured if they trucked in, you know,
Right. somebody
from like the Christian Coalition, just the TV would melt. So, you know, I think clearly he had it in mind that obviously, I think he took that advice to heart at some point. It was like, I'm not going to be the guy who grills people. I'm just going to have the guy who the people who agree with what I have to say, and we're going to go from there.
And then by comparison can make him look even more intelligent and all that. Yeah.
Well, that's another thing that I have some information on that I
You can't
can't
talk
share,
about.
but I don't think that's it.
Okay.
So that leads you to believe, even if he based Will McAvoy on Olbermann, it was just like the beginning, the kernel of that, and the rest of it is fiction.
Absolutely.
Wouldn't it be
Right.
great if Will, by the way, I was watching SportsCenter last night, and they brought in Olbermann because he's joined ESPN. His show starts on the 26th of August. And just in the brief conversation that they had with him for 2 minutes about Alex Rodriguez getting thrown at by the Red Sox, it was great. Like I mean, it was just great. It was just great.
A couple of last points really fast I want to make. 2 lines I liked because you guys often criticize the show as not being funny. When he was asking her about the focus groups and she was like, do you like that analogy that she just made? I thought that was very funny.
What analogy?
They do the polling to find out what they should say the next day. Do you like that analogy?
Oh, yeah. Right,
That was a good
right.
line. I also liked the "you're comparing me to a hobo" line that Will had. I actually laughed out loud. That was very funny.
And I liked dinner with the Romney.
I laughed at, right.
Which I can't believe she would go to that dinner, or they'd let her go to that dinner.
You get chummy on the bus. That happens.
But not with her.
No, they go to dinner,
yeah.
especially with her getting fired. So she really said, "I want to go to dinner with you." And then everybody takes everybody when they invite themselves to dinner. I love that actress had a crush on Constance Zimmer
she's great.
since she was on Good Morning Miami, which I watched every episode of, which was the worst show in television history. That's a bad TV show about TV news. But I liked at that moment when the guy Neil, when Neil says, you know, when they have that, let's go back to the part where we talk about food, what's that? And she goes, you just pointed at rice. And he goes, that's correct. That made me laugh.
In that area, my last point, people are criticizing in the reviews when they connect on Skype and she's so freaked out by it. I still react like that when video Skype actually works. That's perfectly fine.
When I get a freaking fax. I mean, faxing to me beats everything. I'm like,
Magic box.
How does it know the paper? How did it tell it? Where did it see it?
All right, my final points. 1, I agree with everything John said about the hobo line, etc. Two, I thought for a second there Neil was going to have sex with the ex-Romney lady and that, like, dumped the Paul Ron.
Jim will at some point.
No, because then that threw me for a loop because I'm like, I thought Jim was supposed to have sex with her. Why is Neil going to have sex with her that night? But it turns out he didn't, so Jim can still have sex with her later, except for the fact that Jim is never going to have sex with anyone. Okay, which leads me to my final point. I was screaming at the TV as they were setting up this whole big night, and it was obvious from the first second that they weren't actually going to have sex that night because something or a series of unbelievable events was going to prevent it. And as it was happening, I was like, don't do it. When I saw Maggie in that same hotel and he goes to talk to Maggie, I paused literally and I was like, I am going to hate this show forever when they don't hook up that night.
But that's not why it didn't happen.
It doesn't matter. I can't.
The idea is like, also, come on, man. What did you light 52 cameras? I mean, 52 candles?
Who lit the candles?
Maybe it was a fancy hotel. Maybe you get the concierge to do it like 10 minutes before you're going to go up to the room. I thought about that too.
It's not a deal because it takes you out of that moment. Again, you're in there and you're like, why are there candles lit? Also,
This is a fire hazard.
you don't need to light the freaking candles. You guys haven't seen each other. You need to go right into the bathroom and you need to do her over the fucking sink. That's how this works. That's what would make.
Ben, if you're gonna do it in the bathroom, light some candles.
I don't know, man. I just like it, I mean, I agree with Cenk. Like, come on, stop coming up with ways to have this guy sexually frustrated for no good reason at all. Because I love that girl and I loved her reaction on the Skype scene. Like she seems genuine and authentic and she's cute and she's smart and she's funny and she's fun and like everything about her is great. And of course he'll have no future with her.
Yeah, and look, to me, like, I got to get back to that event in Colorado. I'm like, no, you don't. You work for a blog. That event in Colorado is irrelevant. You've got a nice hotel room. If you work for a blog, you're staying in that hotel room that night. There's no way you're flying out to Colorado.
I fell asleep. I didn't pick up my phone. I missed the 90-minute cutoff. Whatever. They're going to fire you from your blog.
Who cares? Anyway, but that's not my main point. My main point in that scene is, this is why he's so over the top and it's annoying. It's like goes back to like cliches from sitcoms in the 1980s. I'm like, this isn't Three's Company. You don't have to have Larry tripping into the room and going, oh, sorry, Jack. Oh, I screwed up your moment. Right? Like, just let him have sex and let him have a normal human interaction, etc. If I was him, I'd have just Jim have sex with her and then the Romney lady, and then I'd go back to Maggie.
Again, all of them in the bathroom.
Let the bathroom go. I don't know what your thing is with the bathroom.
Building a kitchen sink analogy.
Yeah.
I hope there's a citrus candle in there.
I just mean it's the only other room in a hotel room. That's all. I'm just looking for
And Three's Company was the 70s. We're old, Cenk.
Oh, wow. Jesus.
But that said, a pretty good episode.
We got a little bit of it. We got cock block on the S.
Yeah, totally. Again,
Maggie got some ass. There's
Maggie.
Vins and there's shop talk, which I like on this show.
Yeah, but they've turned Maggie's S into
it's
some
depressing.
horrible, depressing tragedy. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. It's badass.
And on it. Until next time.
Thank you, everybody.